Imagine you have finally settled into bed after a long day. The lights are out and your mind is ready for deep rest. But just as you begin to drift off, an uncomfortable, almost electric sensation starts deep inside your legs. It isn't exactly pain, but rather a persistent crawling feeling or an irresistible urge to move that forces you to toss and turn. You try to stretch or massage your calves, yet the moment you stop, that strange restlessness returns, making a peaceful night feel like an impossible dream. Many people over the age of 60 dismiss this nightly ritual as simple muscle fatigue, or perhaps a bit of poor circulation from standing too long. However, in my clinical practice, I have seen how this specific type of evening restlessness is often a much deeper signal from your nervous system and your heart. It is a silent imbalance in how your body regulates itself during the transition to sleep. And ignoring it does not just steal your rest, it can place a hidden, chronic burden on your cardiovascular health and even your long-term cognitive function. This crawling sensation is actually a complex neurological wave that intensifies as we age, and there is a very specific reason why it chooses the exact moment you seek stillness to strike. While most people focus only on their muscles, the real issue often lies in a subtle shift in your body chemistry and microcirculation that happens after dusk. We are going to look closely at this neurological restlessness today, because understanding this one silent sign could be the key to protecting your heart and preserving your independence for the years ahead. Today we are going to peel back the layers of this nightly mystery and reveal exactly what your body is trying to communicate through that crawling sensation. Many people assume this restlessness is just an inevitable part of aging, a simple sign that the legs are tired after a lifetime of walking. However, the truth is much more specific, involving a delicate balance of signals between your brain and your limbs that often shifts as we cross the age of 60. In the next few minutes, you will discover how a common misunderstanding of this nightly ritual leads many to ignore a vital warning about their microcirculation and neurological health. We will look at how the way your body handles certain minerals and signals changes once the sun goes down, creating a state of unexplained alertness in your nerves. If you want to learn how to recognize these silent signals that the body sends during the night, you can follow me here on this channel. But beyond the immediate discomfort in your legs, there is a second, much more hidden factor that almost no one connects to this problem. It is a subtle habit involving how we prepare our internal environment and our metabolism in the hours before bed that acts like a silent trigger for this neurological wave. I will reveal this surprising connection shortly, but first, we must understand the primary reason why your nervous system suddenly feels like it is waking up just as you are trying to shut down. One of the most frequent mistakes I see in my office involves a very specific habit people have right before the sun sets. Many patients over 60 try to soothe their restless legs with very hot baths or heating pads, thinking the heat will relax the muscles. While it feels good initially, this sudden temperature spike can actually overstimulate the small nerves near the surface, making that crawling sensation even more intense once you finally try to sleep. What we are really looking at here is a specific type of neurological restlessness that stems from how your body manages microcirculation and internal signals as you age. It is a sign that the communication between your brain and your peripheral nerves is becoming slightly uncoordinated during the evening hours. If you want to better understand these quiet signals your body sends during the night, you can follow me here on this channel. This isn't just about tired muscles. It's about a delicate chemical balance that shifts after dusk. Even though the heat from a bath is a common trigger, there is another, much more subtle factor that involves a specific way we use our legs in the late afternoon. Most people think they are resting, but they are actually setting the stage for a neurological storm that hits 3 hours later. This involves a pattern of movement, or the lack of it, that changes how certain signals are processed by your nervous system. But as strange as that sounds, there is an even deeper reason involving your heart that we haven't even touched upon yet. Imagine your nerves are like tiny electrical wires running from your brain all the way down to your toes. During the day, these wires are busy carrying messages about walking and standing, keeping you moving through your world. But as you lie down to sleep, your brain is supposed to turn down the volume on these signals so you can rest. In many people over 60, the dimmer switch for these nerves seems to get stuck. Instead of going quiet, the nerves start to flicker and hum, creating that strange crawling sensation that makes you feel like you must move just to find relief. This internal humming is what we call neurological restlessness, often linked to how the brain manages a chemical called dopamine during the night. Think of dopamine as the traffic controller for your movements. When its levels fluctuate after dusk, the controller leaves the tower, and the signals in your legs start firing without any clear direction. What you feel as an irresistible urge to move is simply your nervous system trying to reset a signal that has lost its way in the quiet of the night, struggling to find its balance again. We often assume that moving our legs is just a way to get comfortable, but it is actually a sign that your brain and your limbs are momentarily out of sync. You might notice the sensation vanishes the moment you stand up, only to return the second you lie back down. This isn't just a simple muscle cramp or a sign of being tired. It is a communication error between your circulation and your brain's nighttime commands. But there is an even more curious detail about why this specific restlessness peaks during the deepest hours of your sleep. What most people do not realize is that this nightly battle with your legs often begins hours before you even see your bedroom. You might think you are doing everything right to wind down, but there is one incredibly common habit, something many of us consider a healthy way to relax, that actually acts like fuel for this neurological fire. It is a subtle mistake in how we treat our circulation and our environment in the early evening, and it creates a hidden tension that the brain simply cannot switch off once the lights go out. I see this pattern repeat itself week after week in my clinic, where a patient describes doing everything by the book, only to find themselves pacing the floor at 2 a.m. This is exactly where the mystery of the crawling sensation becomes a practical problem we can actually solve. In fact, I remember one particular gentleman who came to me convinced his heart was failing because of this restlessness, only to discover that the true culprit was hiding in a simple evening ritual he never even thought to question. In my years of clinical practice, I have sat across from countless patients, often in their 60s or 70s, who describe a sensation that is as exhausting as it is confusing. One gentleman I remember vividly, let's call him Arthur, came to me not with chest pain or high blood pressure, but with a look of pure fatigue. He told me that every night, the moment the lights went out, a strange, crawling feeling began deep within his calves, an irresistible urge to move that made rest impossible. Arthur, like many of you, had dismissed this for years as simple muscle fatigue, or perhaps just the price of a long day on his feet. But as we spoke, it became clear that while his conscious mind was desperate for sleep, his peripheral nervous system was entering a state of unexplained alertness. This wasn't a cramp or a typical ache. It was a deep neurological restlessness that activated precisely during that fragile transition to sleep, turning his bed into a place of frustration rather than recovery. What intrigued me about Arthur's case was how this nightly ritual was silently impacting his broader health. We began to analyze the pattern of how his body regulated neurotransmitters and microcirculation as he aged, and the results were a revelation for him. This chronic sleep fragmentation, caused by the constant need to toss and turn, was becoming a silent burden on his heart and his cognitive clarity during the day. He hadn't realized that his legs were actually sending a vital distress signal about his internal physiological balance. The detail that surprised Arthur the most was that his struggle wasn't caused by a lack of exercise, but by a very specific metabolic process that peaked right at dusk. By looking at his evening habits, we found a hidden trigger that was fueling this neurological wave every single night. It was a powerful reminder that our bodies don't just age, they communicate through these subtle, restless signs. Understanding this connection was the first step in preserving not just his sleep, but the long-term integrity of his entire nervous system. Now that we understand how these signals can get crossed, we must look at the innocent things many people do that actually feed the fire. One of the most common mistakes I see involves what I call the last-minute stretch ritual. Many of my patients believe that if they intensely stretch or deeply massage their calves right before bed, the muscles will finally let go. However, for a nervous system that is already on high alert, this physical stimulation can act like a loud alarm. Instead of calming the nerves, you are actually sending a surge of feedback to the brain. This forces the traffic controller we discussed to stay awake even longer. Another trap that is very easy to fall into is trying to stay too warm under the covers. It is natural to want a heavy, cozy blanket, especially as we age and feel the chill more easily. But here is something worth remembering. Heat is one of the most powerful triggers for this neurological crawling. When your legs get too warm, the small blood vessels dilate and the nerves become more sensitive to every tiny signal. If you find yourself constantly kicking the covers off to find a cool spot, your body is actually trying to tell you that the heat is worsening the restlessness. You might want to write this down. A cooler environment is often the first step to silencing those nightly signals. We also have to consider what we consume in those final hours before the sun goes down. Many people enjoy a small glass of wine or a specific relaxing herbal infusion to help them drift off. While these might make you feel drowsy initially, they often interfere with how the body regulates minerals like iron and magnesium in the bloodstream. This creates a subtle chemical imbalance that hits its peak just as you are entering deep sleep. It is not that these drinks are inherently bad, but for some people, they act as a hidden trigger for that irresistible urge to move. This brings us to a detail that almost no one connects to their restless legs, yet it changes everything about how we view nighttime recovery. It involves a very specific way our metabolism reacts to the stillness of the bed, creating a hidden pressure within the vascular system. Most people assume they are just unlucky to have this sensation, but it is often a predictable response to a silent physical shift. But before we reveal that hidden factor, there is one more sign you should look for on your skin that confirms your nerves are struggling. You might notice that the restlessness in your legs isn't the only signal your body is sending during these quiet hours. Pay attention to the color of your skin or how your feet feel right before the crawling begins. Many patients describe a strange coldness or a sudden heaviness that feels like wearing lead shoes. If you wake up feeling like you never truly slept, or if you experience a persistent mental fog that takes hours to clear in the morning, these are subtle signs that your nervous system is struggling. Another recognizable sign is a slight swelling around your ankles by the end of the day, or a faint fluttering in your chest when you finally lie down. These aren't just random occurrences. They are part of a cluster of symptoms that suggest your internal traffic controller is overwhelmed. You might even find yourself losing focus more easily, or feeling an unexplained irritability. If you recognize even one of these signs tonight or when you wake up tomorrow, it is your body's way of asking for a better balance. While most of these signals can be managed through habit changes, there are moments when you must seek professional guidance. If this restlessness is accompanied by persistent leg pain, sores that do not heal, or if the crawling sensation becomes so intense that it prevents sleep for several nights in a row, it is time for a medical evaluation. Always listen to your instincts. If you feel sudden chest pressure or shortness of breath alongside these leg sensations, please consult a healthcare provider immediately to ensure your heart is fully protected. Knowing when to ask for help is essential, but there are also many things you can do right now to support your body's recovery. Instead of intense, late-night stretching, focus on gentle movement in the late afternoon. Walking for 15 minutes before the sun goes down helps your circulation find its rhythm before the night begins. When you prepare for bed, keep your room cooler than the rest of the house. Remember these 2 steps: gentle afternoon movement and a cool environment. These simple changes help quiet the humming in your nerves. What you eat in the final hours of the day plays a silent role in how your legs feel at midnight. Try to finish your last meal at least 3 hours before you lie down to give your metabolism time to settle. It is also helpful to focus on magnesium-rich foods like leafy greens or almonds during earlier meals. If you want to take a note, remember this: limit heavy liquids and sugary snacks after dusk. This helps prevent the chemical spikes that often trigger that irresistible urge to move. Your nervous system loves predictability, especially as it ages. Setting a consistent digital dusk where you put away screens an hour before bed allows your brain to produce the signals needed for rest. You can also try a light, rhythmic massage of your calves using a cool lotion rather than heat. Think of these as your 3 nightly anchors: a consistent bedtime, a screen-free hour, and a cooling routine. By creating this predictable sequence, you teach your internal traffic controller that it is finally safe to stay quiet. These small changes are not about finding a miracle, but about realigning your body with its natural rhythms. Most of my patients find that restlessness fades after a few nights of consistent cooling and better meal timing. This is about more than just avoiding a crawling sensation. It is about reclaiming your energy and protecting your heart. When you give your body the right environment, it has an incredible ability to find its balance again, allowing you to wake up feeling truly refreshed and ready for the day. Reclaiming your nights is one of the most powerful ways to protect your heart and your independence as you age. It is important to remember that these restless sensations are not a permanent part of getting older, but a vital conversation your nervous system is having with you. When you take these small, intentional steps, like cooling your environment and honoring your body's need for gentle afternoon movement, you are doing more than just stopping a crawling feeling. You are giving your cardiovascular system the deep, uninterrupted recovery it needs to keep you vibrant and active for years to come. There is a profound sense of peace that comes when you finally understand what your body is asking for, turning the mystery of the night into a time of true restoration. If you found this helpful and want to continue learning how to decode the silent signals your body sends during the night, I invite you to follow this channel. My goal is to help you navigate these changes with confidence and clarity so you can enjoy the longevity you deserve. I would also love to hear from you directly. Please write in the comments which health topic or specific body signal you would like me to cover in a future video. Your journey toward better health is a shared one, and I look forward to exploring these vital connections with you in our next conversation.